Welcome back to the Two Must Podcast presented by Boston Pizza. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall, and we have a guest waiting with us here. He is joining us this afternoon to tee up the Four Nations face-off, the final, the championship game. He is the TSN Hockey analyst, Stanley Cup champion, and director of scouting for TSN as well. We have Craig Button. Craig, how's it going?
Going great, Josh. Yeah, I think, we tournament was announced. There was kind of a little bit of like, okay, what will it look like? Tournament started. We saw what it looked like, and now we have a championship game that everybody's excited about, as they should be. I mean, it's been a long time since we had the opportunity to watch the best players in the world compete against one another at the highest level. So, looking forward to a real strong game.
Yeah. Do you guys have any big plans tonight, or is it just you and your wife going to enjoy the game? You guys have someone coming over before we get into the game itself. But
It'll
what's
be
the plan
it'll be
going
me
forward?
by myself. My wife is going up to Winsport.
Okay.
Erica Weeb, who Olympic gold medalist, is has an event up there. My wife works for the Canadian Olympic Committee, so they're going. They're doing that. Obviously, there's going to be TVs on at Winsport as there should be, and they're all going up early ahead of the game, kind of mingle, enjoy. Erica will probably do her event and her eventing probably in the period of time between periods and whatnot. But everybody will be cheering up at Winsport. So I'll be by myself, sitting in front of the fireplace, just paying attention.
Yeah, that'll be the same here. Just hanging out at home with the kid. My niece and nephew, who you met before, back in the World Juniors, they were asking me who I have on the podcast. So they want to say hi. They're at school right now, but they might get home in time where this interview's over, where they can jump down. But they were excited to know that you're coming back on.
Yeah, well, high back, enjoy the game.
Exactly. So what are you expecting tonight? And obviously there's a lot of emotion that is going to happen here. We've seen where, Trump is rallying the troops in terms of his supporters on the USA side and Charles Barkley, and there's just so many people that maybe weren't invested in this game before, but it's country versus country. What we saw on Saturday, I don't know if we see tonight, but what are you expecting in tonight's game?
I think in these big games, how you manage your emotions is key to being able to play at the best to the best of your abilities. If you can't manage your emotions, you're going to struggle. And these players have been in high intensity moments. They've been in these types of pressure situations, and certainly some have emerged on top of the mountain. Others have come close, but if you go back and you look at these players and you understand that they've had these experiences, they'll be the first ones to tell you that keeping your emotions in check. Now, all the outside stuff doesn't matter. And if you need inspiration from outside, you would never have gotten this far. These players are intrinsically motivated to be at their very best, game in, game out. You get to a level of competition this high, yeah, the stakes are higher, the competition is harder, the rewards are greater, but it doesn't take away what intrinsically motivates you. And you think about all the different commentary and everything. The commentary away from the game doesn't matter here right now. And the players and I think the fact that people have brought in this, including Bill Guerin. Like Bill Guerin talks about being inspired by the 1980 Olympic team that won the gold at a very different time in the world when they beat the former Soviet Union. That's real inspiration, Josh. Getting inspiration from the current president of the United States, it's just fake. So what I would say to that is players are going to get in there and they're going to compete and play hard, and that's what's going to matter. And trust me when I tell you, if Bill Guerin really believes that Donald Trump has been an inspiration for this team, he's delusional.
Correct. Yeah. Jason Greger was just on Jeff Merrick's show, and he kind of said it best in terms of the orange man is not the guy that's going to get you the inspiration. Like the asinine comments that he's making is it's embarrassing. And
But
that's
Bill Guerin was inspired by the 1980 Olympic, and
and he
they
was.
got the Congressional Medal of Freedom, one of the highest things you can get. It was considered by Sports Illustrated the greatest sports moment of the century. And Bill Guerin's talked about all those guys. So
Yeah,
now he's going to talk about president like the Trump being inspiration. Give me a break,
yeah,
Bill. Like
yeah,
just go and evaluate.
yeah. Exactly, 100%. Who faces the? Let's go to a Canadian theme, but obviously there's some American players playing in Canadian markets. But there's three I want to highlight in terms of who faces the most pressure tonight and rises to the occasion. It's Austin Matthews, it's Carter Hellebuck, or Mitchell Marner. Who out of those three would you say faces the most amount of pressure to perform and kind of have a legacy game tonight? If you could even say one of them would put him in that category.
Like if we think of how about I just I'll answer the question, but I want to just give you some of my thoughts on it, right?
Yeah,
You've watched lots of big games over the years, right?
correct.
And we've seen great games and significant games, whether it be in the Stanley Cup final, whether they be in Canada Cups or the Olympics or Summit Series, whatever you want to call it, right? And who would have picked Paul Henderson to be a difference maker in 1972? Who,
Wow.
who, who would have picked Dominic Hasek to be a difference maker in 1998 at the Nagano Olympics en route to a gold medal for Czech Republic? Who would have picked Jerome McGinley to be a difference maker in 2002 when Canada won their first gold medal at the Olympics in 50 years? Yeah, Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal in 2010, and it was magnificent. But if we go, and Lemieux scored in '87 from Gretzky, and we all know that. But I'm a big believer in this, and I'll get to the three players.
Yeah,
I'm a big believer in this. When you get to this level of competition, every player matters. Every play matters. And if you don't treat every single play as critically important, and you don't know what's going to be critically important, and I'm going to give you an example. On Monday versus Finland, Canada's up 4-0. All of a sudden, it's 4-3. So we're looking to go, what play is going to be critically important? Okay, so we know Sidney Crosby scored the empty net goal to seal it. But that wasn't the critically important play. The critically important play was Sidney Crosby coming back through the neutral zone and with the big body check on Granlund that separated him from the puck.
correct. Yeah,
And that's what this game is going to require. It might be winning a faceoff, it might be blocking a shot, it might be winning a battle on the boards. This isn't going to be a race up and down the ice in a skill competition. We know Crosby scored the golden goal, and certainly I hear this all the time, and I don't buy into it fully. People say, well, your best players have to be your best players. I feel that this comment should be you need all your players playing to the best of their abilities if you want to win. So whether it be Austin Matthews playing to the best of his abilities, or Mitch Marner playing the best of his abilities, or Connor Hellebuck playing the best of his ability, that to me is what it takes. That's what you want to see. I want to see players be assertive. I want to see players try to make it. It doesn't mean you're going to make a difference. And I was talking and watching Daryl Sutter coach and hearing players that played for him and everything. And Daryl would say to players, "Listen, here's the matchup. Here's the matchup. Here's who you're going to be against tonight, Josh. You know what, Josh? I want you to win that matchup. But you know what? It's okay if you tie it. Just don't lose it." That to me is the mentality you need. We are not going to lose the battles. We're not going to lose our matchup. We're going to win everything. Like, people say, oh, the goaltender. Well, if you win the puck on the boards and get the puck out and you're strong on the puck, well, maybe that goaltender doesn't have to be forced to make a big play. Good teams are going to be able to get their opportunities, and goaltenders are going to have to come up big. A shooter's going to have to come up big. But I feel that for Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, to use those two players with the Toronto Maple Leafs specifically, I think one of them is going to emerge as a winner, and one of them is going to be on the losing side.
yeah,
So what does that mean, really? I think both of them going through the experience of trying to do everything they can to help the team win is positive. I think it's positive for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think it's positive for Connor Hellebuck, who's had a couple of playoffs in recent memory that haven't been up to the level of and the quality of goaltender that he is. I think it's an opportunity for him to test himself in a best on best and to say, you know what? Yeah, I know he didn't play very well last year's playoffs, but I'm ready to go. I think Connor Hellebuck's the best goaltender on the planet at the present time. I think Austin Matthews is the best goal scorer on the planet. I think Mitch Marner is a really good two-way player. What these things do, and these types of games do, and for me, is that they give players an opportunity to not show so much to everybody what they're capable of doing to themselves, but show themselves
Yeah.
what they're capable of doing and understand how hard it is. I've said this many times, Josh. If winning was easy, everybody would do it. And you have to learn some of the going through some of the trials and tribulations is about learning and finding a way to get it. And so, do I expect Austin Matthews to score 3 goals tonight? No. Do I expect Mitch Marner to score 3 goals tonight? No, I don't. But do I expect those guys, if Mitch Marner's penalty killing, to be good? Yeah. Do I expect Austin Matthews to get some good chances and if he gets a look or two to force Hellebuck, or not Hellebuck, to force Binnington into good saves? Yeah, I do. If he scores, that's what he's trying to do. But the guy at the other end is trying to stop him.
Yes.
And so that's where I say, like I just think it's such a great opportunity for those 3 players that you mentioned, and they're not the only 3. But I think it gives you such an insight into into how hard it is to win, what it takes to be consistent over the course of a game to emerge victorious, and to say, okay, I'm going to take this and move forward with it.
Yeah. It's
Gretzky, let me just finish with Gretzky real quick.
yep.
Gretzky, the one, like, if not the greatest, one of the greatest. Okay, I'll leave it. I think he was the greatest player that ever played. That's what I feel. Wayne Gretzky said after they lost the Stanley Cup in 1983 and he walked past the New York, they were in the final. He said after walking past the New York Islanders dressing room and seeing watching what they had done on the ice and then seeing how they looked after that, he said that's when it clicked for him. And then they won 4 cups in the next 5 years. Wayne Gretzky,
Yep.
he said that's when it clicked for him.
It's
I just want to. We might not know what this game means to these players until we see them in further competition in the NHL playoffs down the stretch in the Olympics. We may not see the impact, just like we didn't see the impact on Gretzky until 1984 when the Oilers did win the cup.
yeah. And I wonder guys like Jake Sanderson and Brady Tkachuk and a friend of yours in terms of Dave Poulin and Steve Stales at that organization in Ottawa, like what that Ottawa Senator organization is feeling right now in terms of 2 key pillars, one up front and one on the back end, where those guys are going to get to play in a big game tonight, and how beneficial that is going to be down the stretch and into the playoffs. I think it's amazing. I think Dave Poulin and Steve Stales Travis Green are going to have probably great to that. Would you agree, Greg, to that?
100%.
Yeah.
100% it is. And you're testing yourself in ways that you haven't tested yourselves before.
Yeah.
So Jake Sanderson and Brady Tkachuk have never tested themselves like they're going to be testing themselves in this game against Canada to win the 4 nations. So that, like, again, you emerge from it and you go, geez, I passed the test. Or you emerge from it and you go, okay, I didn't pass the test, but I understand for the next test.
Yeah.
That's why I bring up Gretzky from 83 to 84.
Yeah.
This is after Gretzky was dominating the NHL like nobody ever had.
It's amazing. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah, one more on. We'll get one on McDavid there and move on to two other things. We'll finish up there, but we know what McDavid is capable of. We know what all that can do, what he's able to do. We've seen flashes of it already in this tournament. What is your expectations of him tonight? Is this a legacy game for him? And I say that because a good friend, Brian Hayes, he loves to say that comment. They're right on the TV in front of me, but he's all about legacy games. Hazy, as you know, hot takes, Hazy and whatnot. But where are you at with McDavid and what he can do tonight to solidify, his career in a way? Or is it just, like you talked about it earlier though too, Craig, like there's no motivation these guys already have. They have it already. It's there. It's been there forever for them. So where's your expectations and just in what we could see from Connor tonight?
Well, Connor is a dyed-in-the-wool competitor. So what you're going to see is him being a dyed-in-the-wool competitor. I'm going to tell you a little quick story. 1998, we had traded for Brian Skrudland and Mike Keane. and we were playing San Jose in the playoffs, and I don't know, we were up. I think we were up 2 games to 1, might have been one. We were in San Jose, and Mike Modano was halfway through the game. It was a tie game, I believe. It was pretty tight, and Mike Modano was feeling a little bit edgy, feeling a little bit like anxious. And Mike Modano's the one that told me the story. And he said Mike Keene reached over, put his hand on his arm, and he said, "Mike, just keep doing what you're doing. You don't have to do more. You don't do less. Just keep playing. Just keep playing. Keep playing. Keep playing. Keep playing. We'll be fine. We have a good team here. You're a good player." I think what ends up happening with especially when you're a little bit younger, you have this great desire because you're so competitive. I got to go on that shift and make a difference. I got to go do something here. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe all you got to do is just keep playing, like Mike Keene reminded Mike Banana. Mike Banana said, "It just relaxed me." What I would say is if I'm Connor McDavid and he prepares himself as well as anybody, but he's been around Sidney Crosby now for 10 days. Just watch Sidney Crosby. And if I'm John Cooper, I might go to Sidney Crosby. You know what? Just McKinnon's won a cup, but I might say to Crosby, just go and just tell Connor, just play. Now, Wayne Gretzky told me a story a few years back that Mark Messier, whenever they would get to a game 7, he goes, "We're all amped, we're all ready." And we had players, and Messier would stand up and go, "It's time to play, play. Let's go play, play."
That's
And he
awesome.
said it was just so calming.
Yeah.
It was just so calming. Let's just go play, play. So Connor McDavid, could he score 2 goals? Could he get 3? Yeah, we know we can. We know he's capable of it. What Connor's got to do is just go play.
Yeah.
And just like 1972, look at the star-laden lineup there. Paul Henderson emerged the hero. Everybody else was play. And
And
I think that it's a team that's going to win this game. And certain players are going to rise up and get an opportunity, just like in the game against Finland. Rupa Hintz has the puck on a stick. Connor McDavid's in great position, so guess what? He intercepts the puck, and then boom, it's 1-0, just like that, right?
yeah,
So, but if he doesn't get to the right position, the puck comes out of the zone. We don't know what ends up happening.
correct.
Do the right things, keep playing, and realize that, much to what Mike Badano's point was, you know what? I want to get out there and do something right now. Okay,
Yeah.
get out there, but don't think you have to do more, because that's when you start to press, and that's where an opponent can take advantage. They're good. They play. Connor McDavid will be a real will be, in my view, he'll be Connor McDavid esque in terms of his impact on the game and threatening. If he gets goals, he gets points. That's great. But I don't have any question that he'll be right in the thick of the competitive battle.
Yeah, yeah, he sure will be. My prediction is a 2-1 Canada win. Brandon Hagel with the OT winner is my prediction. I don't
OT.
OT, I say yes. So I think
OT. Well,
Brandon Hagel takes it home for Canada. He's the hero. We're do you I don't know if you're a prediction guy. I know the Bob Father and other guys aren't, but do you want to give one on the pod tonight, or what's your viewpoint of that?
yeah, well, my view on, like, well, let me just talk about Brandon Hagel real quickly. There's players that play and get named to a team, and you're really not aware of them. And I think I'm talking about the general public. Brandon Hagel has solidified his spot for the Olympic team in 2026. He's
Correct.
a lock for the 2026 Olympic team. A lock. Mark my words right here, right now, and through his play. So I love the fact that you picked up Brandon Hagel to score the overtime winner. It's I look at this tournament, and I say this about Canada: been there, done that, won that. We saw what the game was on Saturday, and after the first 9 seconds, each team only had one penalty each. It wasn't chippy. It was competitive. It wasn't. It was contrived. I mean, everybody said it was contrived, and Hagel says, "Well, we're going to stand up to it, just like Sorelli was going to stand up to it, and or Bennett was going to stand up to it, and Braco was going." So there's no big deal. I mean, that happens. I don't expect that to happen. But the one thing Canada has continuously shown is that as the tournament goes on, as tournaments go on, they know they have to get better. And I think they have become a better team over the course of the 3 games. And I think John Cooper has done some really good adjustments that have allowed the team to build and to get better. I mean, McDavid, Crosby, McKinnon, all terrific versus Finland. Some of those changes that were made, and so I think that for Canada going into this game, they're on the upward trajectory. We know that there's a little bit of well, no, what should I say? With McAvoy being out, a little bit of uncertainty with the injuries, right? When the game starts, you just play. And
Yeah.
I think the US will just play. Mike Sullivan said, what did they do? I think they hit one crossbar and four posts against Sweden on Monday. And he said, we played hard, we worked hard, they were short players, and they just weren't able to find a way to finish. If they get those types of looks against Canada, it's not going to be good for Canada.
Oh, no,
So
you won't.
I think the game has to like be tight. I like we all say, oh yeah, it'll be 4-3, it'll be 5-2, whatever. But I think it'll be closer to what we saw on Saturday night. Will it be 2-1 or 3-2? I don't know, but I think it'll be low scoring. But I believe that all the pressure is on Team USA. I believe that because back to what I just said. Canada's been there, done that, won that. USA hasn't.
Yeah,
They keep talking about it's our time. Okay, great. It's your time. Show us. I don't need to hear about it. Do you know how I'll know it's your time?
is when you do it.
When you win.
Yeah, that's
Now,
when.
I don't want to hear that you won on a Saturday night in Montreal in the preliminary round. You got to do it.
Yeah,
So I'm watching, I'm looking and everything, right? And to me, it just feels like this is exactly where Canada thought they would be. This is exactly the scenario that Canada has taken advantage of in the past. Yeah, they got a pretty stiff opponent in the US in front of them. But I think Canada's going to win the game.
yeah. Are you surprised based on like? And great point. Very, very well said. And one final one on this one. Are you surprised based on line rushes this morning that it looked like Chris Kreider was in and Kyle Connor was out for Team USA? If that is the case, if that does happen, we'll see in a few hours here. Would you be surprised at? Because again, it's that same theme of no one's giving Kyle Connor that respect in my eyes. I don't want to
Yeah,
read.
I think what's happened. I talked about this the other day. You know, with Matthew Kachuk. Okay, Kyle Connor's a top two line player.
Yeah,
He's a top line player. Well, the USA has other players playing those top lines. And so I think that now you're asking Kyle Connor to play in different areas of your team that don't play to his strengths. And so I can and that's why he found himself down on the fourth line. And that's why he very well may find himself out of the lineup in this game because he's not going to be a top line player on this team. He just isn't. And I think that based on the weight of Chris Kreider, the speed of Chris Kreider, and the net play of Chris Kreider, driving the net, occupying, dragging a defender to the net to try to create opportunities. I think that's what Mike Sullivan is looking at. And I don't think it's about Kyle Connor not being a good player. I don't think it's not. It's just that how are you going to use Kyle Connor? You're not going to use him to his strengths in the upper part of your lineup because you have other guys there. So now what do you need in other parts of your lineup? And I don't think it's just a case of a different type of player. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if Mitch Marner doesn't play tonight.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's not because Mitch now is not going to play on your top two lines. Now, does John Cooper want the ability like Mitch can play on the power play, he can kill penalties, and you might have to say he's going to be my fourth line guy and swing guy as my 10th forward. I mean, I would have Mitch Marner in my lineup ahead of Seth Jarvis, but who knows? And I mean, there was some talk that Seth Jarvis is going to be in the lineup, which leads to speculation. I mean, Marner's name came up. I mean, I don't think you're taking out Brad Marchand.
No,
I mean, like you might take out Konechny because Konechny didn't look like he was really up to speed. So I could see that, but at the end of it all, it doesn't surprise me that Kyle Connor might be out of the lineup just because of what his skill set dictates his place in the lineup. And I don't think it's deeper down the lineup. I think Mike's looking for a little bit something different there.
yeah, yeah, I would agree. I know we saw Tyson Berry obviously go on waivers today, Craig. We'll just finish up on this, and then I want to get your thoughts on Mike Lang. Very sad news yesterday that we got. But just a quick thought on Tyson Barrie, placed on waivers by the Calgary Flames. We'll see where his future goes, if it's to the American Hockey League or if this is it for him or another NHL team picks him up. But your thoughts? Only got into 13 games this year. It's a fast league. The game's changing, but where are you at with Tyson Barrie in terms of the waiver placement for him? For
Well, he's already been on waivers once this year and cleared.
correct, yeah,
So this is his second time. And certainly Tyson has been a good player in the National Hockey League for a lot of years. And I make the comment that Mother Nature and Father Time are undefeated. And sometimes, in the case of older players, they have a great belief in their ability to continue to play. They have a great desire to continue to play. Sometimes you reach that point where you're just not as capable. And so I think that anybody that's played with Tyson Barrie, anybody that knows Tyson Barrie talks about what a great person he is, what a great teammate he is, and he was a really good player in the NHL for a lot of years. But it's the semisonic song. With every new beginning comes with some other beginning's end.
yeah,
And I think that that's true of athletes. And I know Tyson would probably be hoping that an NHL team would pick him up. I guess it's left up to Tyson to determine, do I want to go play down with the Calgary Wranglers and be in the organization? I mean, that's a decision that's up to him. But I'd be surprised if anybody picked him up on waivers. And now I think Tyson has to make that evaluation about where he's at and does he want to play and continue on in the American Hockey League, because the trade deadline's coming up pretty quick. And depending on what ends up happening, it may be the writings on the wall for Tyson Barrie.
yeah, yeah. It very well might be, and we'll see where that goes in the future. You've been involved in the game for a very long time, Craig, and I'm sure you have come across Mike Lang several times through your travels of being an executive and doing the scouting role too for TSN. I don't know if there's a great story you could share of him, you and him shared together, or just something about him throughout the career, because what a legendary calls he had throughout his Leicester's career. Obviously, we lost him yesterday, and that's sad news. But just a thought on Mike and what he meant to the game of hockey, and anything that you might have to share with us and share with the fans as well too.
In 1996, my father passed away. And in 2001, Mike Lang was given the Foster Hewitt Award for broadcast excellence in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I was the manager in Calgary, and Mike Lang invited me to the luncheon and honoring him. So I sat at his table, sat with his friends and family, and he told me that my father hired him in 1974,
Wow.
and he owed a debt of gratitude to my father. And he really thought that he really wanted me to be there at his luncheon honoring him as a Foster Hewitt recipient. So, we all know the calls that Mike Lang had. They were unique. They were special. They were exciting. I mean, he's folklore in Pittsburgh. My father worked for the Pittsburgh Penguins for a number of years, and I think about being a youngster in Pittsburgh. And I was in 1971. I was 8 years old, and I saw Roberto Clemente get his 3,000th hit and his last hit. And my dad loved to listen to baseball on the radio. And Bob Prince was an iconic baseball announcer in the Pittsburgh area. And I remember he always used to call Roberto Clemente Bobby Clemente, Bobby Clemente, Bobby. He just loved Roberto Clemente. And I know that Mike Lang, in the pantheon of great, great announcers in the Pittsburgh area, always looked up to Bob Prince and Myron Cope, who called football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when you think about Three Rivers, where the Three Rivers, the Allegheny, the Monongahela come into the Ohio River, well, to me, there's three great broadcasters that have come through there: Bob Prince, Myron Cope, and Mike Lang.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, what they've meant to the city of Pittsburgh, what they meant for the respective sports, and what wonderful, wonderful people they were, and they'll never be forgotten. Because the beautiful thing about radio and television is their calls are there for everybody to listen to for the next 100, 200, 300 years.
You got that right. Wow, what a story! And thanks for sharing that, Craig. Uh, yeah, what a man he is, and our thoughts and condolences are to his
Mhm.
family and those his friends, his colleagues, and anyone and everyone that he touched along the way throughout his great career in the game of hockey. And as you know, you do a lot in that terms. You do a lot in your community as well too, and he made his community a lot better as well. So
Yep, he sure did.
thanks, Craig. Enjoy the game tonight, and let's have some fun in honor of Mike Lang enjoying a great hockey game tonight. So,
Yeah, think of a line and everything, right? And hopefully, when you move into your new house tomorrow, you can put up some Canadian flags that represent a Canadian win in the Four Nations.
that is the plan. So,
Yeah,
in the new digs. So, thanks, Craig, and we'll
yeah.
chat very soon.
Thanks.